Welcome to another official episode of Signature Tech. This is my first official live stream actually being in front of the camera. I've been working in the live stream industry for about 2 years now. I've done well over 100 live streams. This is the first one I'm actually live streaming in front of the camera. So kind of cool. Also kind of a different viewpoint, intimidating. I'm actually doing everything, the switching, the broadcasting through OBS, and looking at the comments, monitoring that if there's any. We don't have any viewers right now, but we can go ahead and get started and talk about the AVmatrix 6-channel live streaming video switcher that we have today. It is a really nice switcher. I kind of ordered it off the cuff. I didn't do a lot of research. It's a little bit foolish of me considering it is, $600, $700 device. But when when I got the device, I started doing some reviews on it before I even opened the device, and there's a lot of good feedback on YouTube and internet blogs and things of that nature about this device. And they compare it to the Blackmagic device, which, if anybody in broadcasting is obviously very familiar with Blackmagic, and that device, the Blackmagic Mini and the Pro one, all HDMI ports. It actually has the same amount of the base model that they have, the 4-channel live stream video switcher, has the same amount of HDMI ports on it, but it has a lot of different features that make it a little bit better than the Blackmagic device. So time will tell if this device will become more popular. I don't think it will, just because Blackmagic is kind of the staple now for that prosumer market slash consumer market, kind of the at-home person that is doing their own videos. Now let's actually get to some content sharing and show you what the devices I have for that particular purpose. So we have here the AVmatrix 4-channel live stream video switcher. It retails at $549, which actually, let's do a quick comparison here real quick to the Blackmagic device. So live production, ATM live switchers. Yeah, so this is the Pro HDMI, comes in at $100 less than the AVmatrix 4-channel live switcher. And then there is the Pro model, which HDMI live stream switcher, Pro ISO 795. So this does ISO recording. This device, I am actually not even sure if it does any ISO recording. I think it can record at least the program on the screen. At least I thought I saw a HDMI, oh no, SD card input. It doesn't look like it. But the model I'm actually reviewing today is the AVmatrix VSO601U Mini 6-channel SDMI/HDMI video switcher. So the reason why I got this one instead of, I didn't want all SDI and I didn't want all HDMI. And there's not many devices on the market right now that kind of balance the two, which would be really nice to have, like a nice maybe 8-channel switcher that has 4 SDI ports and 4 HDMI ports. That'd be really nice to have a switcher that way. Using a bunch of converter cards just add more points of failure for broadcast. And anybody who's been in that industry for a very long time, no, you want to eliminate as many points of failure as you can. That is the key to broadcasting is streamline your setup. Make sure you have little points of failure as you can. Converters and splitters and things of that nature can cause a real headache. And a lot of times I like to make sure that I can just go directly to a switcher device, or go from that switcher to the camera, or go from that laptop to the switcher. So in comes that device. So actually, I was looking at the Blackmagic SDI switcher. SDI switcher. So I was looking at that device, and I'll put the content back on the screen here. I was looking at this one right here, this 4K live production switcher, as well as this HD live production switcher. So it has a couple HDMI ports on there. Let's actually double check, because there's one that does have 1 or 2 HDMI ports on it, but it has like 8 SDI ports on it. It's a little bit more expensive. It's this one right here. So this one actually has 4 HDMI inputs, and then it has, just don't want to be wrong here, but as you can see, it has 4 and 4 actually. So, and most of probably those are probably program preview and things of that nature. So this one is a lot more expensive, so I wanted to hold off on this one just to see how I'm going to set it up and how this changes my live stream. This is mainly for I do three kind of different kind of broadcasts. I do virtual, I do hybrid, and I do completely in-person broadcast, which is kind of every broadcast imaginable, right? And the reason why before I grab it here, the reason why I want to have different type of switches for different situations is because a lot of times I can go on the road and I can bring that device with me, and I want something small, portable, easy to manage, that can fit into a carry-on case, right? I want to be able to carry all the things I need in a carry-on case and only have the cameras, have rental cameras on site for every location that I'm at. So that is kind of the ideal setup that I'm trying to achieve. Um, right now, shipping stuff is a very dangerous game, right? If you ship things out ahead of time, it's a very dangerous game. You want to keep all your equipment in your hand at all times, and a carry-on setup would be the best ideal situation. And so that's what I'm trying to achieve, is be able to have a Pelican case that's carry on onto a plane and be able to take that, switcher, couple cables, converters, anything I need, kind of the basic core necessity package. Things that I can't really get on site at that event, right? Like a lot of things you can go to Best Buy for, or a prosumer video store or something like that, um, to get little things like cords and cables. But the core essentials, a lot of times you cannot get a switcher the same day, depending on where you live or where you're live streaming that event at. So the core and essentials. So I won't babble on too much, but today we're going to go over this device. And since we do not have anybody on, if you're watching right now, comment, subscribe, like the video. Um, if you are watching, leave a comment, drop it down below. I'll answer any questions. I only have one watcher right now, so this becomes kind of a pre-recorded live stream video that I'm just going to use on my channel. Um, which I kind of expected the first couple to be like that, but I have it right here. This is the mini channel multi-format video switcher, which I'm going to unbox for the first time right in front of you. So let's go to our overhead camera. And it's kind of very large to fit in my overhead camera, so this would be a fun unboxing. I might kind of use a combination of both the overhead cam and the other cam. So let's actually go full screen here, overhead cam. There we go. All right, so this comes in a really nice case, basic cardboard, obviously. On the box it says SD HDMI Mini 6-channel multi-format video switcher by AVmatrix. Now, this particular model is the VS0601U, and that U actually stands for, hopefully that goes in focus there. Come on. It's barely in focus, it's good enough. But that U stands for a USB out. So with any switcher device, a lot of times they can have a USB out, sometimes they don't. For instance, this device up here, this Blackmagic switcher does not have a USB out. So what does that mean? Oh, actually it does. This one does. I stand corrected, it's right there. So it has a USB 3.0 out. So what does that mean? That means you can send that feed to your computer for live streaming through OBS. I use a primarily OBS setup for most of my live streams. So I want to get it back to another computer to send it to OBS. So that U stands for a USB out, and it just pretty much says, you have the ability to plug that device in. And then they make models without it. If maybe you're doing the encoding on the device itself, or you're using a combination of OBS and the live production thing, and then you send it to an encoder or a separate device. However you encode that device to send it to the destination, YouTube, things of that nature. So that's what that U stands for. So, but without further ado, let's get into it. Let's open it up here. And another thing I was excited about this thing, and I kind of looked up another unboxing video on it, was the carrying case. Like that's exactly what I'm looking for. Something that's portable, something that is really nice and high quality and premium, that I won't damage. So this is the carrying case, and I know it fills the screen a little bit. Maybe I can raise this up just a little. There we go. You can see my ugly carpet a little bit. So I'll move this out the way. So this is the carrying case here, right here. Inside, you have a really nice zipper, really good quality. It's like a semi-hard shell. Um, the handle, the handle feels a little cheap, but it's definitely on there. The handle is definitely on there. It's really nice quality, premium. Um, but the handle itself feels a little cheap. But it definitely feels like it's not going to break off or anything like that. Um, just the material itself. So let's open it up and let's see what's inside. Boom. You got, let's start off on this side over here. So you got these guys right here, which hopefully I'm not coming in too hot on the microphone. Let's turn down my levels a little bit. So on this side, you kind of have a foam insert, which is really nice. You have a USB-C to USB-A cable. This is really useful, obviously. These cables are really nice because, and it's a 3.0 port. How you can tell it's a 3.0 port? By the blue marking there. Um, that's how you can tell it's a USB 3.0 cable, which means higher speeds than a 2.0 cable, which usually indicates by white instead of blue. So that's nice. Um, and you have a replaceable VGA port, which is something that I did not expect in there. Um, Definitely something I did not expect in there. So in this, actually, you can open up the device and replace that VGA cable in case it breaks, which makes sense because these prongs can break over time. I have a little experience with VGA ports and just old monitors, right? Um, Computer monitors, and they can break over time. I've never really experienced one breaking though that I wasn't going to junk, right? It wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to replace that VGA port because this is so important to me. But if you have projectors, you want to connect projectors directly to your live production, which I believe this is not for projectors. I think this is actually just for tally, um, tally stuff, and maybe some PTZ stuff. I'm not sure. So we'll see what that looks like when I actually use the device more. So in here you have the power cable, basic standard power cable. Oh, that's really nice. It has a locking device on it, which is really nice. I like that a lot. Like I said, the less points of failure in broadcasting, the more successful you'll be in this industry. It goes without saying. Um, and this is really nice. I like that a lot that they included that in here. Like I said, this is my first switcher unboxing, honestly. I usually use OBS and capture cards, and that may sound low end and budget, but you can do a lot with just OBS and capture cards. So we'll kind of see. I don't believe Blackmagic, the Pro devices have, the baseline devices have locking power connectors. So that's really nice. That's a really kind of pro feature. Make sure that you don't, pull out the device or somebody trips over the cable and it comes unplugged. Um, which you should be locking your cables down anyway. So hopefully this is a scenario you'll come into. It's like your whole broadcast goes down because somebody tripped over a cable. Um, and then obviously it has a USA adapter for a wall outlet for I think that's the United States standard, right? Only US use this. Educate me if there's anybody watching right now. Um, I think only the United States uses this plug, right? I think other countries have different plugs, which some like I unboxed the Streamlight, which I'm actually using for the production a while ago, and it had, every single type of cable connector, wall outlet connector in it. So this is just a foam insert. I was just seeing what it is. Looks like it's a modular design. So I'll keep those in there because I may, maybe I'll add a couple smaller HDMI cables in there, or maybe I may be able to fit my Blackmagic SDI to HDMI converter in here as well. So that looks like it could fit in there. So one case I can carry it all. So that's really nice, and it has a foam pad that can back that down. I'm actually I'll power the device on, so here in a second, but let's take that power cable out and put this down. So that's really nice. That's the foam insert. One thing, I think in the broadcasting world, people generally use the T-handle, and then obviously this is the other foam side. Really nice construction. This foam is pretty dense. I'm sure it could handle a beating, especially since it's insulated on all sides, top, bottom, and left and right. They keep this card in here. which it teaches you how to set the clock time of the video switcher, which is nice, I guess. I would never use the time on this video switcher. I always make sure I use internet time, make sure I'm the most accurate, and I start right on the second. And then thank you for choosing AVmatrix products. So they actually have a lot of products in the market, even though I'd never heard of this company until I started researching a lot of different switchers. Blackmagic and Roland actually have experience with a Roland switcher. I used it when I worked at another company, and they're really nice as well. Um, it was an HDMI switcher. They're a little bit more costly than Blackmagic devices, um, but they make really nice switchers and they're really dependable. One thing, there was one time where, this power cord, a story time actually. There was one live stream that we did with that Roland device, and the power cable that it came with is like the only power cable you can use because we were traveling for this event. So it was like in the same city, but we had to put everything in the car and move everything. So we kind of got the power cables mixed up, and a lot of devices use power cables like this. Different chargers. It's a very popular this kind of basic 5-volt charger. Um, it's very similar to the one that the Roland had. It didn't have a locking on it, but pretty much it was a right angle one, and pretty much we used another device, and it didn't work. It didn't come on. I'm like, what the heck? It's like 30 minutes before we go live, right? So we're kind of panicking. I'm like, we look around, like, kind of reset it, make sure the device wasn't working. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. 5 minutes later, I see that there was another power cable sitting in one of the bags that we had. I was like, this looks like more of the power cable that we're supposed to use for this. So I unplug it, plug this in with it, and it started working. So make sure that you these power cables, keep power cables with their device because sometimes it won't provide enough power or amps to turn on that device. And it's just an important story to kind of make sure you keep the power cable with that device because sometimes you'll get these mixed up with another generic 5-volt adapter that looks very similar, and it could plug in as well like it did for that my Roland switcher, but it won't power the device enough. It won't have enough amperage draw or um, watts to support that device. So it's very important to have this, and maybe even get a second one. Read kind of the numbers on here, or then you could buy a second one. Um, Third party through Amazon or something like that to have a backup. So that is just a little bit of advice from experience there. So nice packaging, basic plastic, obviously. Nothing in here. We're gonna unbox this, and here is where we see. Let's make sure this live stream is still going strong. Make sure we're good. Yep. Okay. So we have a nice T. It's a little bit loose there. It's a nice T-bar though. Um, at the same time, nice tactile buttons. You got your menu wheel here, some audio, some mix effects, fades, and it has some basic swipes and stuff. You can hot cut, I believe, as well as use the T-bar to cut between devices. So yeah, it's a basic kind of switcher, So on the back you have your SDI in ports. You have 4 SDI ports, which they are good quality. And then you have auxiliary ports which you can customize, which is really cool because this gives you a program, a multi-view, and an auxiliary port. Which if you combine that with a duplicator or a splitter, you can have, a bunch of different possibilities. You can have a separate screen. You can customize one of these to display a virtual caller on the screen. Obviously, if you get into a bunch of splitting and stuff, you have to maybe look into Genlock because Genlock keeps all your pictures synchronized. If you do any eye mapping as well, which is if you have like a presenter on stage and then you have, projectors on the right and left side of the presenters, make sure that the scene, is not too much of a delay if you're using this to send that to the screens. Yeah, it has an on-off switch at the back, which is nice. I like this right here because the lower base model has a power button right here, but I mean, the chance of you accidentally hitting that is a little bit higher than, this little switch, on-off switch right here. So I like that a little bit better. and obviously the lock-in DC 12 volt adapter to power device, two HDMI ports, um, and yeah. Then obviously you have a program multi-view HDMI as well, which is very important and very nice for what's called. Then obviously the USB out here, which I'm going to be using for OBS and things of that nature. You have audio in RCA audio. I mean, I'm not really too experienced in the audio field, the audio side of things. I usually have somebody else handle audio for me. That's usually the best case scenario to separate all your things. I do graphics and I do switching, right? I do all that. It's one job. For major broadcasting, sometimes you could have three or four different people. You know, one person on graphics, lower thirds, things in that video, triggers, overlays, any captions. One person that does audio, and then one person that does video switching. And obviously you have a cameraman as well. So yeah, this says tally right here. So that's what that VGA cable is for. Not sure if that's for camera tally, like for controlling the red and green light on cameras. Then obviously it has a Ethernet port for encoding. I believe that's an encoding Ethernet port, so you can actually send it directly to your end destination platform, whatever that may be, YouTube and whatnot. Then on the back, it just has made in China and then quality control pass, which is nice to see. I guess it means they care about their products that have a quality control sticker on it. And that is pretty much it. Hopefully that doesn't reveal too much information. Like somebody can hijack my stream using that, but I can just change the IP address through that. Yeah, and then it has a fan on this side, right here, and it has another fan on this side. So let's actually plug it up, which I'm gonna have to get up for that. I wanted this to be a true unboxing video. I just want to see what it does. I'm not gonna show you any of the on-screen displays. We have another unbox if we have any viewers watching right now, which we do not. If you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe. Ask a question, any question, anything technology-wise. I'm talking about broadcasting today, but I have experience in multiple different fields. I have a little bit of development experience and user interface, um, developer and designer, as well as media. Broadcasting is what I'm doing right now. Repair, IT repair was my specialty for a while as well. So any questions around that, ask me. So let me get this plugged up here. I'll be right back. And we'll sort of turn on some music here while I get this plugged up. There we go. And let's just go stick with the overhead cam as I get up. Okay, this wireless mic is so nice. Having a wireless mic, and it sounds pretty good as well. This is the Jabra, one of the new Jabra mics. They can be expensive, but my job paid for it, so I didn't have to worry about that. So there, let's cut out this music off now, and we got the power. So let's just see what it does, see how loud it is, things of that nature. So I'm just gonna plug that up, stick it all the way in, and then you screw it in. And I made sure that that button was off first when you plug your power up, and then now I'm going to power it up. Oh, dang it! Let's not do that. Let's see the. You have to see the lights. You probably can hear the fan. It's okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, if it was gonna stay that loud, I was gonna be like a little too loud. Okay. So obviously, looks like it's doing channel 1 and 2 automatically. But yeah, oh yeah, you can kind of cycle through there. And then it just pushes that to program, and then you can swap it back, obviously, like a basic switcher. Let's come down here a little bit on our camera. Yeah, so green, reds, the blues, that's nice that they chose a different color for the buttons up here, and they kept green and red for only that. And then you can hot switch as well, which changes the inputs there. So everything stays up here in the program feed right here. So 6 channels. I just want to. I'm gonna grab an SDI cable just to kind of see how good quality these are. Um, the quality of these, and I'm gonna grab an HDMI cable as well here, real quick here. So back again. So I have this HDMI cable here. Um, I don't see one of my SDI cables, which is odd. Oh, there was one. So, if you guys, there's nobody on right now, but if there's anybody watching, um, for sure, hop on and ask any questions or comments. Because if that, I'm just gonna go over the last part of my live stream, which right now, um, I'm at 30 minutes, so I have about 10 minutes left on the live stream before I sign off for today. And here we go. Here is our a BNC SDI cable here. So what I do is like to line up the 2 notches, or excuse me, the path through holes. Slide it on like that, and then just lock it in there. And that's a solid connection. There's nothing like SDI. That's one of the reasons why I'm getting an SDI switcher, because I want to be able to have SDI products. Changing my whole entire flow from HDMI to SDI just because it's a better connection, more reliable, and it's the industry standard, right? Um, so here we have, this is a mini BNC cable connector, just in case you were wondering. Um, the connections is solid, nice and solid. I don't think it senses anything, but that is how you do that. So if you want to actually see the settings, which you can do everything on this device itself, which I don't have time to actually hook it up and everything. Probably takes a little bit of time, and I'm using OBS, which I don't want this to crash on my computer. I do have a separate computer that I use, so it'd be interesting to kind of see that. But it's really nice. Um, it has that red light down here too that indicates what bus you're on. This is a little loose, but overall very good quality build. Um, the body, the frame is definitely. It's kind of hard to say. This outside is definitely metal. That has to be metal. This might be hard plastic, but it's built really well, so I can't really, say it's not hard plastic. I can't really say it's metal either. But the sides are definitely metal. The frame seems metal. It's solid. Or you guys can't hear the fan noise, but it's pretty quiet. I mostly do business events, so the noise of a device is very important to me. Um, that's how I am. I do actually care about noise. My computer, when I first started streaming, was just always crazy loud. I had to get an external fan so that way the computer fan on the device would be so crazy loud, and then I could keep my device cool because it was encoding and doing all this complicated items, but at the same time, make sure that it stays quiet. So the external fan really helped. All right, so that's it for this thing. So you just pop off the button, just shuts down like normal, and then from there. So I'm going to unplug this, and then let's talk about meeting platforms. That's the last thing we're going to talk about. Yeah, about 6 minutes on the live stream here. Let's talk about meeting platforms. What is the best meeting platform for um, what is the best meeting platform for live streaming, for broadcasting, from a broadcasting perspective? Now, this may be different. You may like one meeting platform over the other. And this is kind of my opinion, right? Over the years, I've built up a little bit of experience as well as opinion around uh, the live streaming kind of needs and wants, right? So live streaming, obviously you want high quality video, but you also want reliability. That's why live streaming usually lags behind what the highest resolution is. There's a reason why we don't live stream in 8K or 4K. Some people do it, and there's a lot of people out there that do it, but most of the time, if you discount all the streamers, the gamers out there, you will very rarely see 4K live streams unless it's a very high-end event. And most people do 1080p Full HD live stream. It just lags behind because you want that reliability. More Data means more time to encode, means more things can break. You need better equipment from end to end. And 4K is really hard because you can have a 4K switcher, as we just saw. We saw a 4K switcher Blackmagic is making. It's only 2 grand, right? Anybody can afford that. But then you also have to have a 4K SDI camera. And then you also have to have a device that can encode that 4K signal and send it out to the internet. So end to end, you have to be 4K. And there's also a lot of complicated things in between. Like if you have a video routing device that you send out your signals to, and that device has to be able to send out 4K too, because you don't want that to be a bottleneck. And one of the reasons why a lot of people stream in 1080p is because of that reliability, right? It's less data. It's 4 times less than 4K. So that's why 1080p is kind of the standard, right? Unless, like I said, unless you got the power, the bandwidth, and you're using a platform like OBS and you got a really good streaming computer, and yeah, by all means do 4K. Another reason why is what's the point of doing 4K? And this is kind of a little bit of tangent here, but I think this is an important thing to talk about. What's the point of doing 4K if your users can only watch 1080p? And a lot of times, if you send out a 4K signal, it might auto YouTube, especially YouTube is really known for doing this. It might auto buffer at like 720p because of their internet connection. So, and they might like, unless you are really care about quality, and I'm the type of person that do. So I literally all the time change the quality rating and force 1080p and force a higher resolution because YouTube might auto buffer you and drop you down to 720p, which is really annoying because you're trying to watch it at a certain quality, but YouTube will auto buffer it. Most users are probably not going to do that. They're probably just going to watch it. They're going to continue to watch it. They're not going to force the quality of it unless you tell them, hey, this is in 4K. If you have a 4K screen, put that level up to 4K, right? Um, so a lot of times that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, why tw do 4 times as much as encoding, 4 times as much work on your internet connection as well as your graphics card and your streaming platform, whether that's OBS, vMix, or a switcher device, 4 times as much work for every single one of those devices when your user may not even only watch, they maybe have an internet connection that's only able to handle the 720p. And they might not manually switch it because YouTube's going to be like, oh yeah, 720p? All right, that works. Perfect. It's going to handle that 720p every time. Um, so that's kind of the reason why I'm gonna be a 1080p streamer for a very long time. Obviously, I like quality. I love graphics. I love high quality productions. And when I do have all the equipment, I will be releasing 4K videos, for sure, and doing 4K pre-recorded videos. But streaming is gonna be in that ballpark range for a very long time. So back to meeting platforms. So if you're watching right now, please comment, subscribe, like, ask any questions you want related to technology. I'm just talking about broadcasting right now, but you can ask any question you want. So back to video platforms. So for broadcasting video platforms, obviously you want reliability, you want high quality, whether that's 1080p or 4K. Most of the time, you're only going to get 1080p from every single meeting platform. I don't know of a meeting platform that's going to give you 4K. Uh, Maybe Video Ninja or OBS Ninja as it's known by. And I wouldn't really count that as a meeting platform just yet. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. So meeting platforms, you got Cisco WebEx, you got Zoom, you got GoToMeeting, you got Google's meeting platform, you have Skype, which is kind of the OP, the OG of the game. You have those couple of meeting platforms. So honestly, I think Zoom dominates the market right now. I did a little bit of research on this. Zoom has the most users. It's the most popular platform. Um, and the reason being is uh, it's a meeting platform that's used for calling. That's the reason being. A lot of the other platforms, and Microsoft Teams is the biggest proponent of this, they try to add a lot of different items in the meeting platform. And you can't have reliability when you have a built-in chat, built-in storage, built-in a bunch of things bolted onto it, and it becomes something else. It becomes an all-in-one. They even added the ability to add applications inside Microsoft Teams. You can open PowerPoints. All that extra functionality adds a lot of weight And for a broadcast, you want reliability. Extra weight means something can break. So I think Microsoft Teams is definitely one of the platforms that needs to kind of rethink. Maybe they should have a Microsoft Teams Lite so that way people can actually just only have the meeting platform because a lot of those extra items can cause the system to break. And Microsoft Teams, I have a lot of experience with it. They just need to lighten the load of that platform. So Zoom, that's one of the reasons why Zoom is very popular because it's a meeting platform through and through. It has built-in chat. They have Zoom Webinar, which is a whole different thing, partially. And every one of these kind of have a webinar version of themselves, like GoToMeeting and Cisco WebEx. Um, but Zoom is one of the least expensive, the readily available. You can force high definition, so you get that high quality. It's pretty decently reliable, even though it's built on WebRTC, which is kind of a peer-to-peer sharing things. I'm not sure if this is currently the case, but when it firstly in the pandemic, um, when it got a splurge of extra users, it became a little bit unreliable. Um, but peer-to-peer just allows you to send better high quality video that's not, you know, buffered, right? It has less latency than a cloud system, which I think Zoom probably is using a combination of the two, WebRTC with the combination of a cloud system to kind of help with bandwidth, because a peer-to-peer connection system really puts, it's only as good as its weakest link, really. Um, And if you have somebody on there with a poor connection, they're going to have a terrible time, and they might actually impact the time and your experience in that platform. So Zoom is probably the best meeting platform for broadcast. But honorable mention, Video Ninja, which actually let's switch to a content cam here. Uh, Video Ninja is a platform. If you haven't heard of it and you're in the streaming industry, it's probably not quite ready yet for, you know, high quality productions, but it's a very good platform, and it's specially purposely built for bringing remote participants into your broadcast. And that's one thing that Zoom, Microsoft Teams, GoToMeeting, Cisco WebEx, whatever platform you think about, with the exception of Skype. Usually Skype is used by major news broadcasting, people that go live every single day. Um, but one thing I'll mention about Skype a little bit later. Um, Video Ninja is definitely going places, and I really hope they get some good financial backing because Steve, the guy who kind of built it out, Steve Seguin, um, he talks about Video Ninja purposely being built for bringing in remote callers, having a free platform, and he has actually he put a server behind it too, just a little while ago, so it's a little bit more reliable than when he first built it. Um, and I love that because it's purposely built for broadcasting, right? You can access all the settings. You can change, uh, I can zoom, you can force HD, or you can do 720. But in this platform, you can do 360. You can force a certain resolution. So that way, you can still have good high quality, you can still have reliability, and you can make sure the user is not being overloading their internet connection. So it's really, 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 really like high, innovative, but it's just not quite there to for me to actually depend a whole broadcast and bringing in like 8 guests through like a broadcast that's going to a couple thousand people. I don't think it's quite there yet. Now Skype, they have a lot of systems as well, and Microsoft Teams NDI is another thing I'll mention. NDI is a really nice network device interface that brings in participants to your internet connection, and it provides a very nice compression ratio and very reliable through Microsoft Teams, or Skype uses NDI as well. But the thing about Skype is, unless you're doing broadcasting like on the high end level where you don't really have money, where you don't really care about money and money is not an issue, yeah, you can do Skype. But I mean, look at here. I could bring in 8 people through Microsoft Teams NDI pretty confidently. Actually, I need to go to B&H. You can do Skype, right? Skype, NDI, broadcasting machine. And they have NDI built into the program too, which, obviously you have to have an enterprise account. But if you don't have that, or if you don't have a Microsoft Teams account to have NDI built in, which obviously you need an E5 license to access that. Let's say you try to do Skype and get something like this. It's $8,000 for 4 people. 4 people. Only 4 people, $8,000. Obviously, that's a one-time cost, but I'd rather have Zoom and pay $15 a month or, a couple $100 a year, bringing people. I think Zoom has NDI built into it now too, and have the same decent quality. Obviously, this is a little bit more reliable, and if you have the budget, why not, right? But, in this virtual world now, and especially I work for the company I work for is an international company, so they do a lot of virtual stuff. Um, 4 people, that's news. Yeah, the news stations do that a lot. They bring in 2 or 3 guests, and they have one host. Yeah, so that's fine, right? But if you have 8 people or 12 people on a live stream, this is not going to cut it. You're going to have to buy 2 of these. That's 16K right off the bat, just for a dedicated, um, um, video calling system. So that's kind of like the answer to the question is, you have different ways of doing it. This is one guy that I follow his channel. He uses Zoom. He uses a drone system. So pretty much he has a dedicated laptop for every single speaker. So he can bring up to 8 speakers, and then he outputs that laptop's video signal to a switcher device, which is a very future-proof system for sure. But a lot of people don't have the ability to set that up, and especially me, I'm kind of a one-man show most of the time. I might have, I usually have a couple cameramen, and I do everything else. I manage audio, I manage graphics, and I manage switching, which is a lot of work. Which is a lot of work. Most broadcasts, like I said, most high-end broadcasts, they have obviously a dedicated cameraman for every single camera. Um, they have a graphics person. They have a technical director. They have a switching person, and they have an dedicated audio person. Sometimes they might have 2 or 3 people that's dedicated to graphics. Um, so they have people. I do all those jobs in one. I'm a technical director, which is my official title. I'm a graphics generator or trigger graphics. I also do monitor audio. Now my cameraman initially does the initial audio setup, and then I monitor it throughout the event. Um, so that's a lot of work, and to add a little bit more to that is backbreaking, right? So again, like I said, there's kind of this level of people doing this professionally, but they don't want to spend 50K on equipment, right? So again, like I said, it's a balance of making sure you have the reliability for whatever level you're at, right? If you're a consumer and you just want to do 1 or 2 people coming in, you can use any platform out there. You can even use Video Ninja, and it's free, right? Just learn how to use it, test it a couple times, and you can use those platforms very easily. They're good platforms, every single platform out there. If you have 1 or 2 callers, then this is not for you. But if you have 8 callers, maybe even more than that, 12 callers, which I've had on a live stream before, it becomes a different story. And you're balancing maybe in-room cameras as well with 3 or 4 people that's actually in person on an actual camera in front of you. That's a very complex situation. So I've been trying to optimize that. And I think Zoom is definitely at the top of his game because it's just a meeting platform. And all these other items, they try to bolt on things too much and it becomes too heavy for broadcasting. Obviously, Skype has kind of been the industry standard for a very long time, and I will respect that. I didn't really have any experience with Skype, but it's owned by Microsoft now, and you know how that is. When you get acquired by a company, you kind of change directions. But Video Ninja is probably the honorable mention that's coming up, and Zoom is probably the next best. Microsoft Teams, NDI is obviously uh, a registered technology that a lot of companies use, and it's a very reliable technology. So that's what I actually use right now is NDI. Um, with that being said, I am working on a way to bring in people through the remote participants and provide a way of converting them to hardware without actually using a lot of money. Well, inside the Microsoft Teams, which I actually won't screen share that because I don't want to show any my messages or account for my job stuff because intellectual property type stuff. Um, it has the ability to video hardware out, which then gives you the ability to convert those objects to SDI ports, which, you would need I'm gonna bend down here. You would need a Blackmagic switcher. So switch to my overhead cam here. You will need a Blackmagic switcher device, or excuse me, a Blackmagic PCIe card to do this. Hook it up to your computer, or you can use a chassis system, an external enclosure. Plug this in, and then you can actually use all these outputs as kind of like NDI sources, and then you can connect that to another computer. What that does is it almost builds your own video calling system. Um, $8,000 compared to this is $1,000 for this card. Um, which my initial testing is not very promising right now because they're very elusive on this, and there's not much, you know, videos or research out there on this. One person, one video I found. This is revolutionary, and it's like one video. I'm on the cutting edge of innovation right here to be able to convert all those camera signals in a meeting platform to hardware and then reliably switch with that at a switching device. That would change the game of my broadcasting. So that's what I'm experiencing right now. This one actually doesn't work. There's actually only certain Blackmagic designed PCIe cards, capture and playback cards that actually work with the system. So I'm actually doing some research. I put some comments on the one video that I saw about it, and hopefully that I can get to something that is actually working, and I will have that system up and running for you. And there's not much research out there, so I'm definitely gonna have a dedicated video for that. So I don't want to be on too long on this broadcast here, but it was very fun. I like this format a lot. Um, like, subscribe if you were watching this video as a pre-recorded asset. Again, probably went off on a random here, went a little over on time, but I'm definitely gonna do this a lot more. I'm gonna be probably scheduling these broadcasts regularly. So definitely tune in, subscribe, comment for videos that you want to look at. Anything, any problems. I love problems. I'm an engineer. I'm a graduated computer science engineering student. It's not student no longer, but graduated, and I love problems. So give me give me a technical problem that I can solve. Broadcasting, IT repair. I used to be in the phone repair slash laptop repair business. So anything that's revolving around that, please comment on those issues and make sure to provide me any feedback on all my videos. Go check out my Logitech review unboxing. I'm going to be doing a lot of unboxings in the coming up days because I got a lot of new toys to play with at my job, and I'm just going to unbox them here on the channel. So stay tuned for those and check out that Logitech unboxing video that I just uploaded a couple hours ago, actually. Check it out. All right, without further ado, thank you anybody watching this pre-recorded. I didn't get any live stream reviewers, so thank you anybody watching this pre-recorded, and I will catch you next time.